We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
The way he was acting, that was me Tuesday night. That was legit me Tuesday night. 11-0 to the freaking Giants. Like, I was like that was the most like down that I've been all season because if you'll ask Gabe and Brett, like most of the time, I'm the one that's sort of like, it's not over yet. They'll make a comeback. After Tuesday, I was like, I don't even know how you come back from that. Like technically, yes, we still have a shot. I just don't think luck is on our side here. Mainly due to the fact that depending on what happens in 3 hours, the Padres may or may not have something to play for. So it feels weird to say, but go to Dodgers. So another resident Dodger fan in the chat, friend from work. It feels weird. Like I feel like I need to go wash my mouth out with soap and water, but I really feel like if the Dodgers clinch tonight, like there's really, yeah, I bet you are. There really is not a lot. Like, so what could happen in this case? So say Padres lose tonight, we beat them 3 in a row. We're the number 4 seed. We're the first wild card in that case because we would hold the tiebreaker over the Padres. Because I believe it's whoever wins this weekend series wins the season series. Because I think we're at 5-5 right now. So that's another thing that's on the line. But after Tuesday, just get in. I don't care who we play at this point. Because to be honest, the way this team has been lately, it may not even freaking matter. Even if we make it in, I'm not feeling confident. I am really not. So sorry, I had to kind of go a little long-winded there to start, but I was not happy with this series. Gabe, how are you feeling?
Nervous, like very nervous right now because we mentioned it from like the Rocky series. Like this is must win. That was like 2 series ago, and somehow things have gotten worse since then. And yeah, no, I am. Ooh, man, 3 games left for the Dbacks this season, and we might not even know if they're in or not until late Monday night. And man, I am not excited. I'm excited, but I'm also just have that like pit in my stomach that's telling me like
my anxiety is at like a 15. It's at a 15 because, like you said, like what's going on with the Mets and the Braves, and I've been seeing some conflicting reports. I've seen they're playing no matter what, but I've also seen they may not play because they may not need to play because they both could be up on us, so the games really aren't necessary.
I would assume they are going to play just because they would have.
Looks like lost Gabe there for a second, or it's just on my end. He is frozen, so that's not good. So let me just rant here a little bit. If this is your first time checking us out here on Dbacks Dispatch on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. Hit that notification bell. That way you do get notified every time we do go live. We do have articles on azsnakepit.com. Go ahead and check that out. Make sure, if you're a audio listener, to check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All right, looks like, Gabe, you're back. You were frozen there for a second.
Yeah, so all I was saying was just we got to, and like the amount of anxiety that this is going to cause. But I was going to say, I think they have to play just because they have to figure out their standings because they might be separated by 1 game in the standings. So they have to figure out like maybe just depending, like let's say the Mets are one game ahead. They play that the first game of the doubleheader, they win, they go up by 2 games. I think that would be over. They probably won't have to play that other game once they figure that out if the D-backs are out. But I think it's just all going to depend on what happens because, I mean, it is kind of crappy that they would have to use, like Chris Sale or Freed or who else they don't have Soroka.
So I'm wondering if Sale's starting tomorrow and Freed is starting on Saturday because they were slated to pitch yesterday and today. So, like, this is, to be honest, this is not fair to the Mets and Braves in terms of setting up their pitching. So I'm definitely, like, I know if I were a Mets or Braves fan, like, I wouldn't like this because say they do play, their star pitchers are pitching on Monday, and they're going to have to probably have their 3 and 4 guys go in the wild card. And, like, I can hear the Mets fans' excuses from here. I've been hearing it for the last day. It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good at all because it's like, what do you even do? They have to play 5 games in 4 days. Like, how do you manage your starting staff, your bullpen?
Yeah.
It's like you have to use, especially because all of these for both of them are must wins as well.
Mhm.
And it's like, what do you do? Like, do you put in Sale? Do you put in Free? Do you put in what's his name from the damn, I forgot his name from the Mets? Like their 2 or 3 best guys that they got on there, like
Lopez is on the IL.
Severino. What's his name? He was with the A's. I forgot his name.
Sean Manaea.
Yeah, Manaea. It's like, do you use them, against the Brewers and the Royals? Do you wait on them and use them against each other? Like, what do you do? Because especially if you go into the playoffs, they're going to be either playing each other or playing some sort of variation of, like especially on the Braves side, if they win the last wild card, going against the Brewers again after just playing them like the weekend, maybe a day before. It's like, what do you do with them? Like, it's kind of an impossible situation, and I feel bad for them, but yeah, like you said, man, I'm ready for all these excuses from these guys to be like, oh, well, if this didn't happen, if that didn't happen, it's like, you play the games that are in front of you. I don't know what to say. Like,
Yeah,
I know we
like,
can get into it later, like in terms of certain ways managers manage games for the future. Like, maybe you guys should have won when you should have won and didn't punt away games. And I don't know. I would have to see what Mets and Braves fans say specifically about this, but you have to wonder, like, certain games that got away from them early on. It's like you got to win those games because, as I mentioned earlier, like every game matters. Like, I know sometimes early in the season you can give guys time to figure it out, but losing games, punting away games, having games, lost by the bullpen, especially early on, like that's what happens. You get to the point later in the season where you look up the standings and it's, you're either tied or you have a 1-game lead, and you're like, man, if only we didn't put in Castro against the Braves 3 times in a row, or if only we didn't.
Or Seawald didn't blow 3 saves in a week.
Saves, and then got put in 2 more times after that and continued to blow it. And it's just, you want to get those back. And at this point in the season, you can't. You have 3 games and you're kind of, you get what you get at this point, and you just hopefully you can back into a playoff spot.
Yeah. So I just want to give a couple of shout outs here in the chat. Pandero Music is a longtime supporter. He's in our Discord. So make sure to go ahead and check out our Discord. It's in the description box below. So just glad that you're able to catch us live here. Red Sox Nation, appreciate you for stopping by. And to address this, Brett is just feeling a little bit under the weather. He's just not able to really be on camera. So he kind of took the night off. So hopefully, Brett, you feel better here. I mean, that's also probably true too. After Tuesday, I wouldn't blame him. But we do have someone in his place, though. Longtime supporter. Hitter. Yes, we have a pinch hitter. It's like Pavin Smith quality, I would probably say. You all know him very well. It is Oscar. Oscar, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Trying to do my best of not losing my mind and start panicking.
Right. Right. It is. Yeah, it's tough. Like after Tuesday, like I was like, you can ask Brett, Gabe, and Josh in our group chat. We were all livid because that performance in game 2 with the season on the already losing game 1 and what happened on Sunday, what happened on Tuesday, like I was like, you can't do that. Like you just can't. And I'm like, we can't rely on what happened last year where we get lucky playing terrible baseball going into the playoffs and somehow get hot again. That's very hard to do.
Yeah, and when Fall was out of the game, then there was Watson, Blake Watson. When he gave us the 3-1 home run, I was like this close to losing it, and I started punching the bed. So I just got on Call of Duty and started playing because
let me take my anger out on something here.
Yeah.
After that, like, oh my Lord, what's happening?
Yeah, the ultimate distressor, Call of Duty. Yeah, I work a lot of controllers playing Call of Duty.
Definitely. So yeah, that was rough, but at least we can say that they restored a little bit of faith in us with Game 3. I will say that made me feel a lot better. Game 3, I'm still not super confident just because of how San Diego has played since basically the All-Star break. But coming off of a win, I think that helps quite a bit. There's not a lot to talk about from games 1 and 2. Does someone have the YouTube out? Because I hear an echo.
Well, I have it muted, but that's it.
Okay. I don't know what the sound's coming from.
Take it off.
That's weird. Where's it coming from? I don't know. It's really hard to talk when I hear myself. But Gabe, why don't you kind of talk about how Zach Gallen did?
In Game 3?
Yes.
Yeah, Zach Gallen was incredible in this game. It's something that we definitely needed. This is probably the biggest game of the season and probably one of his biggest games of his career as well. Just to have him go out there and shove the way he did, and especially because the way that second inning went, you're kind of like, damn it. Like, he had almost, 42, 43 pitches at that point. And you're a bit scared, like, damn it, is he really just going to go 5 innings again and, get a couple of runs? But he was able to settle down. He turned to ace. He started to rely on his curveball a lot. He got 11 out of 16 whiffs, right? I believe on that curveball, and he was dominant for the most part. Like I said, only the first couple of innings weren't super, exciting to watch. You're maybe a little bit scared things were going to get away from him, but then he locked in and just shut this Giants down. And I know, like, the Giants are the Giants. They're out. They're, not necessarily competing for anything, but nobody goes out there trying to lose. And none of these guys want to get struck out either. Like they know Gallen is a NL West foe. Like, they want to match up well against him because even we've seen it in the All-Star game. Like, doesn't matter who they're facing, they don't want to lose. Whether it's Scherzer versus Judge, either one doesn't want to give up a home run or doesn't want to, get struck out either. And so they put their best foot forward, but just Gallen was able to dominate them. And this was sorely needed because I do think if they lost this game, I know some people on Twitter have been, accusing us of being doomers and saying it's over. But, like, at that point, I felt like you can maybe stick a fork in the season if Gallen didn't come out and do what he did.
Yeah, for sure. After game 2, I'm like, we need Cy Young Gallen. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, he had to pitch well. And my first thing was, like, if he can be under 20 pitches in the first, that's a good start. He did, but I think it was the second or third he had 24, but he got through 6 innings, which I think was huge for this team because I think that's one of the major struggles with the team right now is our starters are not going deep. So our bullpen is absolutely exhausted right now. Like they are just like out of gas. And I think we're starting to see it with some of them. Like I feel like Justin Martinez hasn't actually pitched that well lately. And I really feel like the main part of it is he's just having to go and throw more than probably what Torey wants him to. So it is kind of a bummer there. Now I'm very curious with Gallen here. He didn't throw a lot of pitches, but he did throw a bunch. Do they try on Sunday? Like if we're still in it and we need to win Sunday, do they have him come out of the bullpen? Like, do they sacrifice him pitching on Sunday, but then we don't get him for the wild card at all? And it's sort of like the thing like Torey planning for extras, but you got to get there. So I would, depending on how Friday and Saturday go, like if Sunday we need the win, like a win and we're in, I'm fine with it. If it's a win and we need help, I don't feel I don't want to waste Gallen on that, and then we need him for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, Oscar, I want to hear your thoughts on that. Like, do you think they should try and throw Gallen out there, like in the middle to late innings, just to secure a potential win on Sunday, or do you think they should just hope that things go right, and not use Gallen and then have him ready to go for the first wildcard game?
They should hope things go right because the playoffs start on Tuesday, right?
Yep, Tuesday.
And at this point, do we have confidence in anyone to start game one if it's not Gallen or Kelly?
So that's the thing with Font. Like, that's what's so frustrating. He looked good against that second start against the Brewers. But the first one and this most recent one, he isn't. And and we have talked about it. It potentially could be the amount of innings that he's thrown this year. He's thrown a lot. Like, he's missed, I think, all but one start. And it wasn't really due to injury. It was more of just giving him a rest for one start through one time through the rotation. Same thing with Erod. Like, he'll have a really good start like he did against the Rockies, and then he has the start that we had in this one where, like, he can't get – like, he has trouble getting through the fifth. Like, I don't have confidence in pretty much anyone.
Oh, yeah. But who would we be able to put in? Would it be Kelly? Is that who would be like the next man up on Tuesday?
Yeah,
right?
I personally would say that's, and I said this before, that with our playoff rotation, I personally felt it was Gallen, Kelly, and then I think the third one is it's dependent on matchups. Like if it's a lot of lefties, I could see them going Erod. So it just depends on that particular series.
And if Kelly does pitch game one, that would be only 3 days rest.
Correct, because I think he's slated to go.
He starts tomorrow.
Friday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday would be 3 days. I mean, they could
4
do
days.
It's about the time they would take for them to do also their bullpen games that they do in between starts as well. So they can do it that way. Just have them go 4 innings. And then try to bring in Nelson because, again, we haven't heard anything necessarily new from him, whether he's going to pitch on Saturday or not, because I believe it's Montgomery who's slated to go Saturday. And with the season on the line, I don't think they're going to put in Montgomery, or they might have either one ready.
I don't think they are because of who they activated today. That would make no sense to me. To start Montgomery when you activated Ryan Nelson right now. So probables. So yeah, Kelly's tomorrow. Saturday is still TBD. So they probably haven't decided if they're going to do Nelson or Montgomery. And then same thing with Sunday. There's no timetable. And the thing with Sunday is everybody plays at the exact same time. Everyone plays at 12. So, and I like how sometimes I like how they do that. Just because you can't really like sit like not try in that final game because everyone's playing at the same time. So, yeah, Tori has a lot of hard decisions to make this weekend. But the lineup, the starting 9, like needs to be our A lineup. Like it needs to be Gabby, Walker, Marte, Domo, Suarez, Gurriel. Center field, if it's a lefty, it's Jake. If it's a righty, I personally think it's going to be who they brought up today, and that's Alec Thomas, and then Kalen Wright. I think that's who should be in the starting lineup from this point until the end of the season. Like, don't put in Newman. Don't put in Herrera first. Like, if you want them to fill in later in the game, like Newman, I'm okay with, but he should not be getting starts at this point. Like, I appreciate everything that he's done, but he should not be getting starts.
Yeah, I guess the elephant in the room, I think we can discuss this. We can get each other's thoughts, but Monday, Cattell didn't play, Gabby didn't play, and Gurriel didn't play. And that was the one game that we did have an actual shot at winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we can go with you, Brandon, first. What do you think about? I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, I know Cattell supposedly was the one who asked for the day off, which I can understand. Well, what do you think about players specifically asking for days off? Because it's a two-party question. It's that part. And I also want to ask later on about the putting him in later on. But the first one, yeah. What do you think about players asking for days off like that?
Normally, I'm like no, because he's so good. But Cattell's situation is different because we know he's so injury riddled. Like he's that lower back, and like I said, I don't think his ankle. That I still think they brought him back once he was on the IL, probably a little bit too soon. But I think they felt like they needed it. Like they felt like it was going to give the whole team a jolt of energy. And it really took him like a couple of games after he came back there to really kind of do anything. Because I think he started like 0 of 13 when he came off the IL. So, but like this late in the season, like I understand why he asked for it. Because a lot of people's opinions changed once they found out it was actually not Tori that made the decision. It was Cattell that told him. But I also felt like Tori in this situation should have realized where we were, and and should have played him or Gurriel. Like, I'm fine with not playing Gabby in that game because of what happened on Sunday. Like, give him that one extra day of rest. But it's, oh my God. Yeah, like the fan base was in an uproar on Monday. It was, I mean, we were very vocal about it at the time because we thought it was Tori made the decision to not play him. And we're all like, that is stupid. Our season is on the brink. We need all of our best players. So let's hear Oscar. What are your thoughts on this whole Cattell thing on Monday?
I didn't hear Can you guys hear me better? I raised the volume on the mic a little.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't listen to the whole interview. So did he say his like body was just tired, or did he say he actually felt a little like discomfort in his ankle?
He specifically asked for the day. He didn't say why, but he asked for the day.
Yeah.
Jack Summers wrote an article about it. He said that he was experiencing lower back pain or lower back tightness. So that was the main reason.
And if he's played in the season with like his back being tight a little, and he's played a few games, I think he should have manned up a little. If it was his back, I think he should have manned up a little and try to play through it. No one would blame him if he got hurt while playing these final games. I wouldn't like, hey, you gave it your all, you got hurt while playing, instead of why you're not playing. So I think he should have at least manned up and tried to play through that, knowing the situation we're in, which is 6 games left.
The only issue I have with that is, unfortunately, you can't please this fan base when it comes to Tory's decisions. Like, for example, had Cattell played on Monday and he further hurts his ankle like he did in the one game, people's like, Tory, why did you play him if he wasn't 100% healthy? But then fans got mad when he didn't play. So, like, so much of the fan base does not like Tory whatsoever. And any decision he makes, they complain about it. I think in this one, it made it look worse when he pinch hit for Cattell in the 8th inning. I mean, like, that made no sense. I'm like, if he's asking for a day off, it's got to be the full day. Like, I get what he was trying to do. It was close. We were down by 3. He needed a big hit, and Cattell's our best hitter. Like, I get why he did it. It just makes you look really it makes no sense. If he's asking for a day off, even playing a couple of innings, he's not getting a full rest.
Yeah, so that was the thing with me. It's like when it comes to Cattell, if he's asking for the day off, okay, I'm a little bit more leaning on it, but I can see Oscar's point too. It's like you got to man up. I'm like, can you imagine having someone like, I don't know, Scottie Pippen tell Phil, like, hey, I need a day off? Like, what can you imagine him saying to him? Like, there's no way. Any of these other managers that we've known before, it's like if a guy's coming to you, ask him of the season, win or die, win or go home, and your best player is telling you, I need a day off, and it's like, we're not in the playoffs, like we got to win these games. I can see why, where there would be that frustration. But like you're saying, there's no peace in this fan base. If he would have played, fan base would have been in an uproar if he got hurt. But my point that I was, making in our group chat was the comment that bugged me. And the reason why this bugged me, and this is why I made the tweet out about, if only our best player was playing, was that Tory said he's available to play. And at that point, and I hate that comment that when he does that, because it's like it's Schrodinger's cat. Like, he's dead and alive at the same time, which isn't. Cattell is both too hurt to play, but he's also not hurt enough not to play. So I'm like, which is it? Either he is or he is, and you got to
make up your mind, Tory.
You got to make up your mind. Like, if it was a normal rest day, you say like, yeah, just want to give him a day off his feet. Okay, you're gonna give him a day off his feet. That's fine. You can bring him in later on, but this wasn't what he said. He mentioned specifically like nursing the injury and this and that, managing the injury. Well, you're managing yourself out of the playoffs at that point by keeping your best players out. And I know what. I understand what Josh is saying, that Cattell knows his body better than anyone, which is true. Obviously, he knows what he feels and how he feels. But you can't tell me, oh yeah, Tory giving him 2 hours off instead of, playing the entire game. Somehow his back is better. Somehow his ankle is better for not playing those 2 hours. And I think Brett made the point in our group chat, which is like, it's like when you go to, basically calling into work, like, hey, I'm going to be out all this, this whole day. Oh, but I can show up for the last hour of the day and kind of just, not do anything. That's kind of how it felt. And my frustration was Cattell's body is normal wear and tear. He got injured because the AAA player slid into him hard. And
you're being way too nice. That's a double A player.
Double A player took a really bad slide into his
Little League, man.
Ankle.
He's like 4'11".
But he slid into him, and not only that, Cattell played the 9th. He played the field in the 9th. What's stopping a Giants player, who trying to break up a double play and injuring him again?
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense to me. What would happen then? It's just, is Tory going to be like, oh, well, we felt he was good in that situation, blah, blah, blah. What if they went into 2 extras? What then? Is Cattell going to keep playing? If they go into the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th inning, is Cattell going to be on his feet this whole time? And that's my issue, and that's what my issue is always going to be. It's like, either a guy is injured or he's not. Play him or don't. Don't give me this BS of like, and we had some people like push back on us, certain writers push back on those comments that we made, but either you play him or you don't, man. Like we can't keep doing this. We can't just expecting give guys a couple of hours off and say, okay, well they're good now. Like especially because it's I would assume Cattell would rather have his whole warm up routine rather than just going in the cages and taking a couple of hacks before coming in to pinch hit. Like if his issues the lower back, have him stretch out. Have him stretch out before the game instead of being on the bench the whole time, and then just expecting him to somehow warm his back up in the cages, below the dugout.
Yeah, and his pinch hit appearance. I'd understand if they were losing by 2, or
3.
it would have been the go ahead. Yeah, but he put him in when there's only one runner on. If he hit a home run, they're still losing. So it would have made more sense putting him if he had a chance to tie it or get the lead.
Yeah.
So it was still pretty weird putting him in when they're leading by 3 and there's only the most he can do the 2-run home run and still end up losing. So might as well just give him the whole day off.
Yeah, and then I think what happened on Tuesday it just frustrated us even more because they were not competitive in that game whatsoever. Like 11-0, give up 5 home runs, and Gabe has talked about it at length. Punting games away, they've done that way too many times. Had they not, we would not be in this situation. Like because the season could come down to us being out by 1 game. It is entirely possible that we missed the playoffs by a single game. And there were multiple games that had we actually tried, I think we would have won.
And it wasn't just the ones that, like we mentioned earlier. I think the seawall blown saves, the putting in Miguel Castro against the Braves. Like there's so many, even Scott McGuff against the Braves. Like there's so many that you can pinpoint. But there was also a lot of situations, and you can go back and listen to these episodes. There's a lot of games where the D-backs were down 3-1, and it would be the 7th, and instead of doing, following the script of Ginkel, Thompson, and J Mart, either combination of those 3 guys, or he would put in his C guys, and you're putting in like Brandon Hughes. I'm like, why is he putting in Brandon Hughes in this situation? Or Scott McGuffin. Then eventually, they would lose the game 8-2 or whatever, and you're like, man, like we were there, but why did we decide to do that? And then Tori would just either say, we had to live to fight another day, or I like them in that situation. It's like you can't, and that's what I had mentioned about punting away games. It's like they were there, and Tori, trying to plan for the future. And my issue with that planning for the future is there might not be a future.
Yeah.
Like that's why I made that meme about, like they're going to be arrested in Cancun if they keep planning for the future, because the future isn't guaranteed. Like I know Cleveland's going to be struggling a bit in the playoffs, but Stephen Vogt got them there because he's not planning for the future. He was not planning for a possible playoff appearance. He was planning, every day as a must win. And I know, like I said, it's going to be issues come playoff time for that team, but they have enough dogs in that pitching staff to maneuver, the high usage. And, and that's the main thing that people would mention was just like, oh, they got to plan for the playoffs.
You have to get there.
Which what could Cattell has his day off, and then and Gurriel has a day off. What if they don't make it? What then? They're gonna have an entire off season to get ready. At that point, we're gonna see next time we see them, we're gonna see them in March, just because of the way this team is being managed. And I know there's a lot of people asking for Tori's head at this point, but I don't think they're gonna fire him. I don't think they should. He is still a good manager.
The thing is,
but
yeah, like
you can criticize someone,
correct,
and not hate them. And this is kind of the issue I've always had with fandom in general and politics. It's like you can't say anything without people taking it as, oh, where either you're all in or you're all out. It's like, no, I can say there's team is hitting too many, rallying too much on the home runs, or
double
Alex
plays
Thomas is grounding out too much. There's double plays. You can say those things without it being like you being a doomer or wanting out of this fan base and everything. It's like, no, sometimes you can say there's patterns here. There's issues with the way they're playing right now that could be better, and they should be better, especially because the money they're spending, the expectations, and I guess another question we can ask now, and we can maybe start with Oscar here. If the D-backs don't make the playoffs, is this season a failure, Oscar?
Complete failure. Like complete failure because we did so much for 2 months and then just to throw it all away in the last week. I mean, what bright side would there be? We're 16 above 500. That doesn't get you anything. Considering the expectations we had, we were pissed during the first half because we knew they were good, but they just weren't playing to the level. And then when they were playing to a level, they got this close and just crept it all the way.
Yeah, for me, it is a failure if they don't make the playoffs because you made it to the World Series last year. You spent a lot of money this offseason. Expectations were higher this year. Like, there's no reason that you should not make the playoffs. Like, and I think it's just Arizona sport fans are just so used to not having good season after good season. So when they have like back to back, they think it's fine to have a lot of wins but not make the like. What's the point to play? To win a championship. If you don't make it, then it's not a successful season. Like every team's goal every year should be to win the championship. Anything less is seen as a disappointment. So if they don't make the playoffs, I personally see this season as a disappointment. And as he pointed out, crazy, we made it in with 84 and we're at 88 and we may not make it. Like that's how crazy that the National League has been this year. Is last year we kind of limped our way in with 84 wins, and we have a chance to get to 90 wins this year and we may not even make the playoffs. Just because there are other teams that are doing just as well. And this whole thing about if we don't make the playoffs, fire Torrey, you realize probably bringing in a new manager with a new coaching staff is going to set this team back. Like they're in a good spot right now to compete for several years. He made the World Series last year. Like, how did we made the World Series last year and we got like 70-ish, 75 wins? I could see why maybe not bringing Torrey back. But you're still on the verge of making the playoffs. There'd be a lot of teams that would pick him up super fast. Because he is a good manager. For the most part, he is a good manager. He makes some questionable decisions at times, but so do most managers. Like no one's perfect. So
yeah, for me, it's like I would categorize it as a failure because there's a certain article that came up, and not to bash anybody, like it's not who I am, like with this, but they're making the case about that
best everyone.
In private maybe, but what the writer was saying was specifically like there was a progress, like guys with Jake and certain bullpen guys like J Mart, and the fact that Carroll still reached 2030 despite struggling, Suarez having a career year. But my argument is still like, yeah, we had all this progress and we still missed out on the playoffs. This team can get to 90 wins and still miss out on the playoffs. This team is going to, might be close to 900 runs scored and still miss the playoffs. That's not a success to me. That's a failure. And that attitude of it's still a success because we had progress in these certain issues with certain things. It's like, this isn't 2022. This isn't a team that's recovering from a 100-loss season. This is a team who's coming off a World Series appearance that Ken Kendrick spent the money. They went out and got guys. They reinforced, both the offense and the pitching staff. And yeah, it's been kind of a failure, but it's been a lot of injuries as well. And that's kind of the argument that people make too. Is just like, oh well, there's been injuries. So the Dodgers pitching staff has been a pitching machine, and half of a season of Jack Flaherty, and they're probably going to win the most games this season. The Padres have had injuries left and right. They're also their pitching staff is a piece of chewed up bubble gum for the most of the season, and they're still in the playoffs. They have one of the top spots. Every team has injuries, and you still have to be able to push through and get to the playoffs because, again, you spent a lot of money. There's expectations this year. This isn't 2022. We're expected to at least make the playoffs. And yeah, sure, we might not make the World Series. That's a totally different thing. But what about next year? Is the playoffs guaranteed next year because of this progress? Because I would argue that it might not be because we might be losing Jock, Jamont, Montgomery, Walker, and we have a season left of Gallen and Kelly. What then? What's the plan then? What are we gonna do? Like we're hitting the peak of a lot of these guys, but we're also losing a lot of guys too. It's like what are we gonna do? Are we gonna pay Walker or are we gonna let him walk? What about Ken Kendrick? If he sees this season, collapse the way it has, and they don't make the playoffs, what is he going to do? Is he going to re-sign Walker? Is he going to try to re-sign Jock? Like, what do we do then? Like, playoffs aren't guaranteed, and with the way some of these teams have been rising, like the Reds, like the Cubs, we might need more than 90 wins even next year. We might need 95 for all we know, and then what? We just expect this team to back into the playoffs year after year?
Like, that is not a good formula to play well in the playoffs. Is just barely sneak your way in, not playing great baseball, and just hope that everything all of a sudden clicks. Like, I get some players, when it turns to the playoffs, they do play better. They play different. But to have everybody clicking, because that's what it takes for the playoffs, is you're clicking offensively. Starting pitching does well, and bullpen shuts it down. Because these series is all, I truly feel, if you have a dominant shutdown bullpen, you shorten the game. So the only way that I see them firing Torrey is if they lose the last 3 and they look just not like a professional baseball team, like not even competitive at all. Like if we got 3 straight games of what happened on Tuesday, maybe. But the thing is, Mike Hazen and Torrey are so close. It's like firing your best friend. So I don't see it happening personally. But you never know. But right now, I think our focus should be the San Diego Padres series. As of right now, it's tied 0-0 with the Dodgers in the bottom of the 3rd. So not sure how that's going to go. This right here, a full rebuild will set us back at least probably 3 years. At least. So I'm not a fan of that. And I think letting Torrey go basically signals to the fan base, yeah, we're going to go in a full rebuild mode. And I just don't think it's a smart idea. So, San Diego Padres series, if you live in the Valley, try to go to all 3 or at least one of the games, because the team needs it. Like, we need to show that we are excited for this team and we're excited for playoff baseball. So I just want them competitive. And I think a series win we're in. If we get 1 game, I think we're going to need help. And I don't feel comfortable in that because it's Mets versus Brewers. Brewers have officially clinched the 3 seed. So the Brewers literally have nothing to play for. And then it's Braves and Royals. And Royals have not, I think, clinched a playoff spot just yet. Or did they? No, Royals have not officially clinched because they're 2.5 up on the Twins. So they might have it. So maybe they'll play hard on Friday. But Oscar, do you got any kind of thoughts on what you want to see against the Padres?
I don't think I'm ready for all the stress and anxiety for the weekend. Like, I really not. These series have made me mad, but the anxiety and stress that come with. But if the Padres lose today and the D-backs sweep, how likely that is, I don't know. But if they get the sweep, D-backs will get home field advantage.
Yep, and the wild card because we would hold the
Yeah.
tiebreaker. So we hold the tiebreaker with a series win, but like you said, because they're up 3.5 right now. So yeah, they lose today, and then we sweep. Then yeah, we would have that 4 seed, and God, that'd be a weird turnaround. We go from almost not making it in to hosting a best of 3 at Chase Field next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So a lot can change, and that's what this team has done all year. Like they'll have like a bad game or a bad series, and then they'll come back and have a series where they score 30 runs in 3 games. Like it's so frustrating. Like it causes, like you said, the anxiety for this weekend. I am not looking forward to it. For sure. Gabe, what are you kind of feeling for this series?
Just so much stress and so much anxiety. And I mean, this is what I felt last year at this time as well. But I had I guess, the comfort that I was on vacation at that time. So I was like, if they lose, I'm still in, not to brag, but at that point I was in Germany. I was like, whatever. I was just enjoying myself a little bit more without having to worry about playoffs or anything if they missed it. But this year I'm like, I am nowhere near there right now, and all I have to do is just deal with it while I'm still here. So it's going to be a very, very stressful next what would that be? 72 hours, right?
Yeah.
Plus Monday.
Plus Monday. I mean, if they're able to, put up get to 91 wins over the weekend, probably wouldn't matter too much because I believe the Mets and the Braves, the most they could win, both would be about 90 wins. But
so yeah,
still,
a sweep. A sweep puts it.
A sweep would put all of us, to rest a little bit. But I will say, these last few series, they've played a lot like they played earlier in the season, which is 2 games where they get their ass kicked and then 1 offensive explosion, mixed in with a great pitching performance. And we criticized them at the time for that. And I think we should still continue to criticize them now that going into a series against the Padres and you're playing the way you did early in the season, I don't feel confident, but things can change on a dime. Like, Torrey could have just slept them all in the dugout, or in the locker room. Just Torrey could slap some sense into them and made them realize, like, hey, it's go time, y'all. Like, I know Torrey's a player manager, but he has to make him realize, like, the body language that they're exhibiting right now, it seems like no one but Carroll seemed to care these first of the games. So they need to be playing a lot more loose. They need to be trying harder and maybe not try too hard, get into their own heads against the Padres. Hopefully they can sweep, and hopefully the Dodgers, they can take the division today, because
right
that way the D-backs have
go Dodgers
fighting chance against them, and then we can maybe celebrate taking that first wild.
Yeah, like I just want them to make it in. Yes, I know this is music to your ears, sir, being a Dodger fan. So yeah, if I feel like I need to rinse my mouth out with soap. So we do have 2 questions from our Discord. I wasn't able to make a graphic for it. It's weird. One of them was like predicting the future. It's from Corbin Barrels. He asked this question yesterday at 8:18 Arizona time. Do we think we will have Alec Thomas back by the end of the year or on the postseason roster if they make it? Well, we got the announcement today that they sent down Blake Waldron and Yilbert Diaz. Oh, wait, yeah, there is. Sorry. So, nope, not that one. That one. There we go. There it is. Yes, so we do have questions. So they sent down Yilbert and Blake, and they brought up Ryan Nelson and Alec Thomas. I was actually thinking about that the other day. I'm like, do they bring Alec up for that playoff roster? Like, I was thinking about it because I'm like, he's been down in Reno for a hot minute. So, yeah. And then, yeah, there's a lot of discussions. People's like, why bring up another left-handed outfielder? I mean, I'll tell you why. Because they were two plays. Was it on Monday? Matt Chapman hit 2 fly balls to center field. Jake did not play those very well. Like, he did, and both of them, he missed, and they bounced very far off the wall. One was a triple, and one was a inside the park home run. So, Oscar, how do you feel about having Alec Thomas back?
I wasn't really expecting it. Honestly, I totally forgot about Alec Thomas having a chance to return. Because I thought he was hurt for the rest of the season. So I didn't really check up on the minor leagues. And also Jake has been struggling just like the whole month of September. And also Jake misplayed one yesterday, bounced off the side of his glove on exact type of play up against the wall. But the Yidver Diaz, I was kind of surprised about that because I don't know if we can trust Rodriguez or Montgomery to go 6+ innings on either day, like on either Saturday or Sunday. Could I send down McGuff could be sent down, right?
Yeah, that's the one that confuses me. Is we have Brandon Hughes and Scott McGuff back up here. I'd rather have Blake or Yilbert up instead of either one of those two.
Oh wait, Nelson came back, so yeah, Nelson replaced. Yeah, so never mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can still talk about I guess Scott McGuff in his defense, he has looked a little bit better out of the bullpen recently. He has really good speed and everything, so he's fine. I think Brandon Hughes, that's the one I'm like, why is he still up here? Is he going to be on the roster? Do we just need a body right now? But honestly, for me, I just feel great having Alec back because, I mean, I mentioned in the comments, as soon as he was sent down, I'm like, I understand it, but I'm not happy with it. I was not happy with it because for me, his defense is the most valuable thing, and it's probably the most valuable glove in anywhere other than catcher with Gabby, because there's a lot of plays that Corbin, Jake, Pavin, like there's so many plays where you're like, Alec has that, Alec had that, Alec has that. It happened over and over again throughout this whole time, and as great as Jake could be at times, there's so many plays, especially towards those center right, center left, walls where you're like, Alec knows how to play it off the wall. If not, he knows how to catch it against that wall too. And I think he's going to bring a lot of stability to the outfield. But I will say, like Oscar's mentioned, Jake has struggled a lot. He was batting like 300. Now he's hovering around 270 or 260, whatever it is. Like, he has not looked very good recently. So, giving a little bit of new life with Alec up there. He's one of the boys, one of the Valley boys as well. So if what you need from
bringing on the vibes, ladies and gentlemen, bringing on the vibes.
The vibes. All right, then I am all for it. They can all hold hands in the outfield like they had been doing. So if that's what he needs, bring up the vibes. Hopefully we can see Alec tomorrow. Give Jake a day off. Because I think AZ Bob was saying that he's going to give himself CTE out there, just the way he's been running into those
I
balls.
thought he did on those 2 plays on Monday, because so the thing is, he was running full sprint like the running back in high school that he was, and he just just bounces off the wall. I'm like, that's really gotta hurt. When they sent Alec down, like, I understood why. Jake was on fire. Like, that was the point where he was like almost 400 against lefties. So I get it. And Alec wasn't hitting at all. But the thing is, Jake's not hitting well right now. And I don't want us to lose a game due to some outfield defense. Like, I just know there's been a lot of plays that either Jake just makes or he misses that Alec makes with ease. I just think Carroll and McCarthy, they don't read the ball well sometimes off the bat, or they don't take the right route. Alec does. Alec is always, I'm like, this must be from your years and years of just being on a baseball field, because your dad was a equipment guy for the Chicago White Sox for the longest time. So you're just used to knowing how to read the ball off the bat. So because the Padres are starting a lefty tomorrow, I don't think Alec plays. I personally don't think he plays, or he won't start. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. Yeah, hopefully we see some of Alec. We have one more question from Corbin Barrels. Why do they stretch out Martinez out as long as they do? I don't think they do it as much. They just did it in that one game because they were trying to basically bridge the gap because Gallen went 6. And he came in with 1 out in the 7th. So I think what the original plan was that he'd get 3 or 4 outs, and then Puck would get the rest. And that was the plan, but J Mart was struggling. So I don't think they plan to have him do more than 3 outs now. They did earlier in the year, and Gabe was very vocal on how that makes no sense. Because it was still like, he is a flamethrower. He's like, why is he pitching in the 6th and then you had Seawald like in the 8th and 9th? So, Gabe, just kind of what do you feel like they stretch him out, like have him go longer than they should, or was it just kind of this one-time thing?
I guess recently they haven't done it as much, but I never liked it. I'm like, this guy, what he's capable of doing is getting 20 pitches and just making guys look silly. There's no reason why he should throw more than a couple of innings, especially as young as he is. He's not a Josh Hader. He's not an Edwin Diaz. Like, there's certain relievers who can do that. Right now, the only guy who should be getting more than an inning of work, if possible, would be Puck. Puck, I trust to get either 2 innings or 4 guys or something like that. But Martinez has never been that, and I don't think he ever should have been. He has well over 70 innings, and I think one of the reasons why is because the way Torrey used him early on, which was go into the 6th and into the 7th, or going to the 9th, and also you got the 10th as well. And it's like, probably should have just been out there to throw 1 inning, not as much as he has. And I think maybe that's led a little bit to fatigue because of that. But Archie Bradley was on the PHNX podcast today, and he mentioned as a reliever, you don't want more than 3 days off anyways. So he needs to pitch, but unless they truly, truly need some length, he shouldn't be out there for more than an inning. And like I said, the only guy who should maybe be out there for more than an inning is Puck, just because he has experience with that. I mean, he was a starter at some point this season. So if anybody's going to be doing a couple more innings.
Technically, he was. He wasn't very good. Like, he was, and it's weird. Like, he was bad. Like, it was ugly. Like, I think it was like 5 or 6 starts, and his ERA was like 5. Like, I'm pretty sure he's given up less as a reliever, like 3 times the innings than he did there. So, Oscar, like, What are your thoughts there on J-Mart from yesterday, where they kind of had him, like, I think the goal was to get 5 outs out of him. Do you like that idea, or do you think they should just keep him to 3 outs?
That's what I do now with the show when my bullpen's tired. I try to make the ones who aren't tired at least get 4 outs or 5 outs. But at this point, no one's trustworthy right now. Especially when they put him in, there was 5-1, right? 5-1.
Yes.
So no one's trustworthy at all right now. Thompson's not trustworthy. Ginkgo hit or miss.
There's
And you don't
one
want your
person. There's one guy, and that's Puck. Puck is the only one that I trust out of the bullpen.
But to get to the 9th inning, you just have to bridge the gap. So, and you don't want your B bullpen trying to bridge that gap. And with the off day too, so it worked out with the off day, but yeah, I guess that's what you have to do when your bullpen's complete trash this past month.
Yeah. I mean, the entire pitching in general this month has not been good. That starting pitching hasn't been great. The bullpen hasn't been great. It's kind of how we blew a 7-game lead on the wild card to the Mets, which just blows my mind. And I think that's why everyone in the middle of the month was like, yep, we're going to the playoffs. It's almost certain. 7-game lead. Nope.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that game. It's going to haunt me. Bad stuff happened during this weekend.
So, yeah.
I mean, that Brewers, I really do think that Brewers game on Sunday just broke this team, because having an 8-run lead and then they just refused to score after that. Like, it was ridiculous that they just got completely shut out for 4 innings until they finally scored 1 run, and then they just kept nibbling. And I just think that to a certain extent, I just broke this team mentally, that they just, they have been the answer backs last year, this year. This is the team that's able to fight back from any, it doesn't matter if it's 8-0 for them. They'll find a way to crawl back, and then to have another team do that to them in such an embarrassing fashion, I think kind of broke them a little bit. And I think they really need to get that funk, out of their system, because against the Padres, we've seen it before. The Padres, they're relentless. They don't stop. And I believe there's some tweets out that if the Dodgers win today, there's a possibility that the Padres might be using their B lineups, but we mentioned before they're not going to, because the Dbacks are still technically on their heels, and the Padres aren't a team to give up like that. Can you imagine? It's Mike Schultz, right? He's their manager?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't imagine a Mike Schultz team being like, oh, well, we're just going to rest a whole bunch of guys every single day. I can maybe see one of, Tatis, Machado, or Bogarts or Profar. One of them having 1 day off. If not the day off, then keeping them off, off their feet, and then bringing them on later on in the game, just to give them a little bit of rest. But everyone else, it's all hands on deck, and it's crazy for people to assume that. But I can understand the sentiment. But again, this Padres team is relentless, and they're going to come in swinging, especially if they lose today. Why wouldn't they? They're going to want to come and get revenge, on the league at that point. So, and they want that that home field advantage as well. So it's all hands on deck at this point.
Yeah. So it's going to be, like we said, a very stressful 72 hours. So not I am looking forward to it, but I'm not. Our thoughts and feelings will change every day, depending on how the game goes. So make sure to check us out on Twitter at Dbacks Dispatch. This is your first time checking us out on YouTube. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live. We have articles, and there's also other great articles there on azsnakepit.com. If you're an audio listener, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We got one other thing to go. I completely forgot about it. Thanks, Josh, for reminding me. We have triple play trivia again. We don't know what this question is. I haven't even. The only thing I did is I played the video real quick to make sure that it worked. So let's see what we got today. Interesting question. I'm gonna go with the sand shark. Oscar, what is your answer? He's gonna go play it back on the YouTube video probably. Because I don't know what it is either. So.
I mean, anti-mascot.
I'm going with the Reagan one.
The Reagan one, okay. So yeah, we got Sammy the Slug, Sandy the Sand Shark, Reagan Republican, Crazy Crab, and Peter Dinklage. So yeah, mine's Andy the Sand Shark. Oscar went with Reagan Republican. Gabe?
Damn it. I'll go just to be different. I guess I'll say Peter Dinklage.
All right, and we have another video with the answer.
All those fans of Giants Land love that crazy crab.
We would have a mascot that would be appropriate to Candlestick Park, that mascot that people hated. We could call it the Crazy Crab. What could be a cornier symbol of touristy San Francisco, something that would be rejected?
Geez, we got this damn costume. Why don't we just put it on the field and see what happens?
Trust me, they'll love it. All those fans of Giants.
They went from 0 to hatred in about 6 seconds.
The fans were hanging over the side of the thing, screaming, yelling, throwing stuff at me, and I was like freaking out. It was like, wow, this is intense. I didn't realize these people were actually going to hate me like this.
We threw the rosin bag, we threw water, we threw gum, we threw sunflower seeds. We're kind of waiting for somebody to say, okay, that's enough. Stop throwing stuff at the crab. It never happened.
I mean, you can't throw stuff at players. They arrest you. But if you're throwing stuff at a crustacean, there's nothing on the books about that. And they told us they wanted us to hate it. It's literally like they got a hall pass to act like maniacs.
Golf balls were zooming by my head, and baseballs.
It was like a C-cell battery.
They used to go there, go to the bathroom, and pee in balloons, and throw water balloons with pee in them.
2 players jumped the crab.
They picked them up and body slammed them.
And the guy blindsided me, came out of nowhere, and just knocked me down. And I knew that my back was out.
Folks all say, love that crazy crab. Love that crazy crab.
Well, that was a informational video. Thank you to our producer extraordinaire. I wouldn't have guessed it because when I think Giants, I don't think of a crab or a crustacean.
Yeah,
so
where's Tommy Lasorda when you need him to? Because goddamn, I think he's ugly.
yeah, that was something for sure. So Josh, thanks for that. We do appreciate everyone for being here live with us. Bubba, Josh, Pantera Music, Super Cyrex, appreciate Red Sox Nation. Thanks for stopping by here. Let's have all good vibes this weekend, and hopefully next time we see you guys, we'll know if we're in the playoffs or not, or we may have to wait to see what happens on Monday. I don't know how I feel about that. So talk to y'all later.
Dbacks, dispatch. Yeah, bring Red Gate, Josh on the floor. West Coast vibes, catch us on the air. Home run dogs, diamond gems we share. Brandon was a dad, Caesar man was a plan. Red brace it down, tells it like it is, man. Gabs on fire, brings the heat every time. Josh on the mix, keep the beat so prime. Ain't got the insights every week's a hit. Tune in, Dbacks, dispatch, this is it. Now we rollin'. Dbacks, dispatch, jam. Talk the Brandon, Brandon Gay, this is Big Catch. Josh on the mix, he make the beats. West Coast vibe, got the G fucking the bad. The home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. Dbacks, dispatch, we here to stay. Catch us every week, we bring the flavor to it. We got the home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. Dbacks, dispatch, we here to stay. Catch us every week, we bring the flavor to it.